Hello everyone who's obsessed with tattooing and art. Thank you so much you guys for joining me on this video. And on this video we're gonna talk about tattooing nowadays, what's happening nowadays. And if you like tattooing or art in general, if you wanna hear more videos or see more videos about tattooing and art in general, I'm gonna be talking about stuff like that on my channel. So if you guys are into that sort of stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And I'll be uploading a new video every week for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoy it. All the talk we're gonna have here about tattooing and art, we are passionate about tattooing and art. And I would like to, express myself and let people know about what's going on today in the tattoo industry, and how it used to be to what it is now. And on this video, I thought it'd be good to talk about single line tattooing. I'm sure you guys heard about that sort of style, and nowadays young kids are going mad for it. It looks really cool. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice sort of style, and there's kind of like a fashion to it. I don't know, people trying to achieve that sort of look, in their bodies. And nowadays it's all about how you look on Instagram and on TikTok and all that. And I know the youngsters are trying to achieve the look, the single line tattoo look is a fashionable thing. Yeah, fashion school for time being. However, as we all know, fashion doesn't last, And one thing I will tell you guys, that single line tattoos are not gonna last. It's not gonna last because it's just too thin. It's just too thin, and one needle, just one single needle, cannot do a design that's gonna be there in 10-15 years. Every tattoo fades over time. We all know that, especially if you expose it to the sun. So you guys make sure, if you ever go to the beach, if you ever go on holiday, make sure you put sunblock, because the sun destroys the tattoo. It doesn't matter how good of a tattoo artist you are. If your client goes to the sun on holiday 3-4 times, they don't put in any sunblock, your tattoo is not gonna look the same. It's just how it is. So very, very important to keep your tattoo out of the sun. But single line tattoos it's a style that it just lately is being happening. The finest needle I use is a 3-liners. I can't go less than that, because there's no point. If you go less than a 3-liner, you can't. Your line's not going to hold up. Even 3-liners sometimes is a bit thin. Sometimes 5 is better. But when I began tattooing, it was such a different world. In 2006, back in Manchester, when I started off, I was just a young kid. And then when I walked in the tattoo world, I felt like it was a world that there was a lot of history. I saw the classic tattoo artists, Philip Lowe, all the tattoo masters. Philip Lowe, Jeff Goguet, Shige. I respected them so much. For me, it was like, it was unbelievable going to London Tattoo Convention, seeing those guys working. It was just like, I was so inspired. And even nowadays, I'm inspired by them and respect them. And I just feel like a lot of young kids nowadays, they don't want to know that. They're more bothered about TikTok and Instagram, how many likes they get, how many follows they get. It's all about that nowadays, and people are forgetting the foundational things, the roots of tattooing, like where it comes from and the history of it. It's so important to know it, especially when you enter in that sort of world. And that's the reason why I wanted to be a tattoo artist, because I felt like it was a history. There was a history behind it. And I wanted to be part of that history. I just feel like nowadays, like young kids, I've even worked with some young kids in my studio. Nowadays, they just don't want to listen. They just don't want to listen. They think they know it all, and they need to learn. We are all learning. But some young kids, they just don't want to listen. They just don't want to know. So they're all out there doing this single line tattooing, and you try to tell them, and they just like goes from here to that. They just don't want to know. And it's crazy to see, because when I began tattooing, when I was younger, I began tattooing when I was 23, and everything I heard, I used to take in. I used to Because when I started tattooing, there were no many tattoo shops. There was no many opportunities. So everything I heard, everything I learned, I used to take it in so much because I just appreciated the fact that someone was trying to help me, you know. And I had young kids working with me, and I'm trying to help them, and they just don't want to know, you know, because nowadays like a different world, I think, where you've got so much information where, you know, young kids, they're not really taking advantage. They do take advantage, but they don't really respect, they don't really appreciate as much as I did, you know. Because when I began tattooing, it was like there was not much information, so I used to watch videos of people tattooing. I used to go, actually, before I was a tattoo artist, I used to go to tattoo conventions with a camcorder in my hand and tape tattoo artists tattooing in tattoo conventions, go home, plug the camera to my TV and watch them tattooing from my TV and trying to work out what they were doing, you know. That was back in 2006 and 2007. Like, for me, that was my school, you know. I used to go to Manchester Tattoo Convention, where it used to be Piccadilly Hotel, the very first one, 2000, oh my goodness. I started tattooing in 2006. I first went to Manchester Tattoo Convention must have been 2002 to 2003. Used to be in Piccadilly Hotel. That was my favorite one. I used to love that tattoo convention. It was probably, I miss it. I think I still have videos of that. I still have cassette videos of the VHS. I think I still have it. It would be awesome if I could find it to show you guys. You know, it's such a different world. So, yeah. So, single line tattooing, definitely, people should stop doing that because it's just not gonna last. It's just not gonna be there, you know. Tattooing, even the hardest lesson I had in tattooing was longevity, you know, because I like doing realism, you know. In realism, you've got the soft look to it. However, you have to, make things look real, but you need to think about longevity in the long run, you know. So nowadays, when I tattoo, even knowing something is realistic, I know I have to make that tattoo last and put in the contrast. And of course, not every time you get it perfect, but I also say to my clients, you know, in 5-10 years, even if your tattoo is fading a bit or it needs a touching up, just come back to me and I'm happy to do it. You know, I'm happy to do it. It's not a problem because, you know, everyone has different skin as well, and every tattoo heals so different, you know. So I like to, if I get the opportunity, you know, my clients can come back to me, not a problem, and I can touch you up. But definitely single lining, it's not working out. So if you're a tattoo artist out there and you're doing single line work, I would recommend stop doing it because it's not only it's gonna fade away in the future, but if you do a single line tattooing, it's so thin. The needle doesn't have support on top of the skin. It's just one single needle. When you have 5 needles, 7 needles, the needles have support to touch the skin. One single line needle doesn't have the support. So that's why if you look at single line needle tattoos, when they age, they're gonna spread. Because the needle just go. It's too thin. It's just like sharpen the skin too much, you know, and it's not gonna work. So yes, that's my advice, guys. No more single line tattoos, for Christ's sake. Don't do this to people. And people, if you think you look good now, doesn't mean they're gonna look cool even in a few months. Because single line tattoo, I don't think, I'll be surprised if he's still there in a few months. Maybe in a few months, but in a few years for sure, no way. So yeah, guys, that's my advice. Be good. No single line tattoos. Love you all.